Hi, everybody. I'm Linda Brubaker, and this is Career Search Lunch and Learn. It's the group where you're always welcome, even though we know that this is not the place you want to be. You want to be in that next forever job. And our goal is to help you get the tips, the tricks, the networking, and the support to move from here to be able to share that success and move on to that next forever role. We appreciate you being here, and we appreciate your willingness to share with each other as well as to learn from each other. One of the things that I love about this group is that it is a very interactive group, both on screen and in the chat. So those comments, those support really helps not just you, but it helps everyone else. If you have a question as we move forward, please type the word question all in caps in the chat. If we don't see it today, we'll make sure that we do get back to you, but we'll try and get there as quickly as we can. If you're new, type the word new all in caps in the chat. We'll try and find a time for you to introduce yourself. In addition, if you have ideas as we move forward, since we're doing our getting ready for 2026 today for us, but 2026 for Lunch and Learn is something that we're going to be talking about as well. But if you have ideas of topics or speakers, just put the word idea all in caps or speaker all in caps, and let's see what we can do to make that happen as well. I'm Linda Brubaker. I am a career transitions coach. I have been a career transitions coach now for over 8 years. And one of the things that I love about it is the ability to be able to share information with all of you. The information that I provide you in career transitions is really all about what I've learned in my role as an HR recruiter, an HR business partner, a headhunter. Sorry, do they even still use that term anymore? An executive search consultant, okay? A hiring manager. Done that for well over 20 years. And then those 8 years of experience in career transitions coaching gives me a lot of information to build on as I'm talking with you. I build on that information, excuse me, build on that information not just from my experience, but also from learning from all of you and what's going on with you in your world and how things are working for you, but also from all of my colleagues, constantly talking with other people in HR and recruiting and hiring, with people who are doing some of the work in AI and in the ATS systems, with the professional networking groups, to make sure that the information we're providing you is the best that we can. I'm going to put my information in the chat so that if anybody chooses to work with me, because I do private coaching as well, this is my give back, my labor of love. And as I said, I've been doing this now for well over 8 years, this Lunch and Learn program. But I do support it with some of the private coaching that I do. So I'm going to add that to the chat. And in the meantime, I see that we have both Ken and Carrie who are here joining us today. They're going to help provide some of the resources and answers. Sorry about putting you on the spot, Carrie. If you're willing to do this, that's great. But what I'd like to do is give you all a chance to introduce yourselves as well. Okay. So that as we move forward, we're there.
Hi, everyone. Ken Lang here from Northern New Jersey. We are fortunately not having any snow. So far, so good. I'm a Lee Hecht Harrison career counselor. Um, One of the challenges that we have there, and it's something that I definitely want to mention today because we've been in orientation speaking with others, there are so many people that take advantage of services, but they never follow up. They never, we send them emails, we send them reminders, and they just never follow up for whatever reason. So I think that's one of the challenges that we struggle with is how do we get people to follow up to make sure it's worth their time. So tomorrow in the city, I'm going to be getting together about 6 or 7 coaches for our annual Christmas get together. And great to see you, Carrie. Again, we were in conversation on Monday. We also every month do a whole career coaches thing. So if you have questions specifically, I think it'd be great if you post them in here as job seekers so we can brainstorm about that in future events.
Absolutely.
Take care.
Thank you. Carrie.
Yeah, absolutely. And thanks, Ken. Great introduction and happy that everyone's here. And I'm Carrie Bryson. I am the founder of Aligned to Success. I am also a job search partner. I help job seekers, of course, like yourself, turn job searches into job offers. That's what I do. And, Ken and Linda are definitely part of my tribe of peers that we work together. And the whole purpose is to really help give you guys as much information and value. And Linda does a really incredible, this session is always incredible, always engaging. And so, as they both have said, to encourage you guys to ask questions. And if there's something specific that you're struggling with, let Linda know, put it in the chat so that we can help solve those for you. And just excited that you're all here and happy to be part. And thanks for inviting me.
Absolutely. Okay, so now we're going to start with some of our quick wins. If you have a quick win, please raise your digital hand. By the way, if you don't know where those are, it's down at the bottom of the screen. All right. I love the fact that you were so on this one, Stacy.
Oh, yep. So I've been interviewing with a very small company over the last few weeks, and I had a third interview last Friday. So, I think it went well. So if I say that, then it probably did, I guess, because well, if you know me, you know me. Yeah. So one thing I did before that really helped me is I went back to notes that I took when I met with Pam, and she helped me prepare and practice interviewing. And I went back to the notes that I took, and also I posted something in our group and asked for advice. And one person commented and said, "Don't forget your questions." And and it was literally probably 10 minutes before the meeting. I saw the response and I went, "Oh, I forgot my questions. How could I possibly have forgotten questions for?" And I had a panel interview with 3 folks fairly high up, and I was just like, "Oh, you got to be kidding!" Like it never even crossed my mind. I'm like, "Holy crap! I have 5 minutes to figure out some questions." So pulled it together, got some questions. So now I have to wait because they said I'm the first person that's made it this far in the interviewing, and they've got other people lined up, of course. So I'll probably sit and wait for weeks for some kind of response. So
That's all right. You follow up. Okay. Looking forward to our next conversation.
yeah, I did.
Yeah.
I just wait.
Perfect. Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay. That interview prep, by the way, is really important, whether you do it with me, whether you do it with Ken or anyone else, with one of the other members of the group. It's important to be able to do that. And getting those questions together that you really want to share, make sure that they are about the job, what you would be doing, about the company, not about you. Okay. That's another way. The questions that you ask help me learn about you and what's important, and gives me an indication that you know what's important for me. And then you can base your follow-ups on the problems that you're uncovering, the challenges there, and show that you've really been listening to what they've been saying. David.
Yes, last week, last Thursday, actually, I got a phone interview for a data analyst position with the Ohio Health Information Partnership. It was only supposed to be 10 minutes, but we ended up talking for about 23 or 24 minutes. And he said that he was very impressed with what I had to offer and with the research I had done. And he really enjoyed talking with me and gave me a more detailed description of what the next steps would be than anybody else ever has. So, example, there would need to be like a virtual interview and an in-person interview, and then I need to have a background check and a drug screen. So it sounded like he was really excited about me.
Excellent. Make sure you keep following up. That's great.
Yes, he said he'll get back to me by December 18th.
Oh,
Okay,
and
on
they
to
gave you a
whoever's
date.
next.
That's great. Perfect. Keep us posted. Morning.
Hello. I'm up, right?
You are.
Okay. Yeah, so I had my first interview that was past the phone screening this morning. I prepared using this AI interview prep company and also with Gemini. And I'm really glad I did because a few of the questions came up and I was completely ready for them. I know, it was my experience. It's not that I didn't know, but just having gone through that rehearsal and having all the information ready really helped. Unfortunately, I asked at the end how it went, and she said pretty well, but that they were looking for two areas that I am not strong in. I just haven't had that experience. And so we'll see where it goes. I wrote the recruiter a little while ago and just thank him for his time and asked him about next steps, even though I think it's probably going to be a no. She didn't give me a hard no. Maybe she was just being nice, but still a quick win.
It is absolutely a quick win. Okay, I'm going to use this as a learning opportunity as well. So here's the deal. Is those AI prep tools are good, okay? But you have to make sure that what you're doing is relevant to the new company. You have to be able to analyze what their hot buttons really are, what their challenges are. And it sounds as though you didn't have something specifically that they were looking for. If you don't have that specific, then make sure that while your answers are relevant to them, always about what's important for them, that you talk about how what you've done in the past will be relatable to what they need.
I
You
did
have
do
to
that.
tell them. Also, turn it into an advantage. Okay, if you don't have something that they're looking for specifically, and you can figure out what that was, then you're right. I may not, I have this, and this. And when I come to you, I'm going to be bringing the best experience that I have, best practices in all of this, and learning from you, coming in with fresh eyes to pick up this.
That makes
So
sense.
you're trying to build one to the other rather than looking at it as a disadvantage, help them to see it as an advantage. And also help them to see that you can use that as a learning opportunity, and so can they.
That's great advice. Thanks, Linda.
You're welcome. Good luck.
Thanks.
Uh-huh. TJ. TJ, can you hear me?
Yep, now I can. So my quick win was I applied for a position, still waiting to hear back, but they emailed me back about an hour later.
Wow.
Said they moved me on to the next part of the process.
Excellent. Congratulations.
And that's local, even better.
Absolutely. Is it still your remote position that you're looking for?
No, this one is local I have a few connections in the company. I went to the college with one of them, and one of them was my professor in college there.
Even better. It's perfect. Keep us posted. Let us know how we can help.
I will.
Oh, excuse me. Any other quick wins that we want to talk about? Anybody new to the group? Raise your digital hand. I'm sorry, I have not been monitoring the chat. Okay. Veronica. Perfect. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Hi, I'm Veronica. I'm new to the group. I put something in the chat about myself, HR professional with 7 years of experience looking for a new home, quote unquote home. Currently, I do freelance, and it's really about it. If you have any referrals, I'm interested in that, not job postings. I could find jobs all the time. I could apply blindly for all relevant positions, but it's referrals that get you a job.
Yes, they do. They help a lot, but you still have to be able to apply. And it honestly, from what we're finding is yes, the referrals are really important. Speak from personal experience, but not only that, we know that it's important to apply. Don't just wait for those referrals. If you find a job that's the right opportunity, apply anyway. Keep looking for those referrals, but apply, because the longer you wait, the less likely you are to be fully seen. So those referrals can come before or after or during the process at any point. We know that people are getting jobs, getting interviews based just on those blank referrals if their information is strong enough, if it is targeted directly to the role. So this is not a time to do that spray and pray, throw out just anything out there. Okay. So let's now start moving into, by the way, are there any questions in there that I missed. Ken's response about staying and send a thank you, even if you're rejected. Absolutely. We know that those work. We know that keeping in touch works. It keeps you top of mind. You're thanking them for the opportunity. You're talking about one or two things that you may have talked about in that conversation that you can then reemphasize. Remember, really short. But thank you so much. I'm going to be keeping in touch for future opportunities. They'll tell you if that's not going to work. And then do it. Keep commenting on company posts. Keep commenting on posts from other people that you've met, comment that you met in that process. Keep connecting with other people within the organization. Believe it or not, that makes a difference. When I'm pulling up your stuff, if you are connected to X number of people that I'm connected to, that tells me that you have some credibility. So keep building those connections. And it's not just the numbers. Remember, it's turning those numbers into relationships. So comment on those posts. Comments, we know, are even more important than the actual posts that you put out there. Perfect. Okay. What is this? All right. So let's do that. Now, we're going to go into the chat. I want to remind you that how important the chat is. When you find something that makes sense to you, please put it in the chat. Give me the tip that you found. And in addition, don't just say, hey, yes, that's great, so that you can go back to it and other people can go back to it. Tell us what it is you learned, what you picked up. And if you'd like to, if we'd appreciate it, if you would share it on a post on LinkedIn, share it on a comment on this meeting, just so that other people get the opportunity to see what you've been learning, to see why something like this might be important for you, but it also gives you that opportunity to be seen and to be heard. And every time you do that, it increases your visibility. It increases the opportunity for other people to find you and see that you're that real person that they want to connect with. Because those referrals, those hires, that's based on who we know, like, and trust. Your resume gets your foot in the door. Your comments, your interactions, that's what gets you the job. Yes, Scott.
Good morning, everyone. I just wanted to add to that, Linda, from what you had taught us previously. I did go into LinkedIn off of a company posting. I did apply to the role. I found the most significant person assigned in that company to it. And I just said simply, good morning, this is Todd. I thank you for connecting with me. Simply wanted to let you know that I have applied to XYZ role and I'm very interested in the opportunity. I think perhaps I could be a great fit with this role in the company. So the good thing from that was I did that like on a Monday afternoon. By Tuesday night, I did receive, we're moving on with other candidates, but that person now knows me from doing it. And I'm going to do what you just said. I'm going to send back just a simple thank you. Please keep me in mind for other roles, trying to open the doorway. And so thank you for making this suggestion previously. I just want to communicate that to everybody that really worked.
It does work. Thank you for sharing that. One of the other things that I would do is if you are applying for jobs, it's okay. Find the other people within the organization. Now, since that's a company that you're obviously interested in, I would find other people within the company that you can comment on their posts. Put them on your follow-up list, not just the connections. You want to make yourself known as that professional, right? Who's got that expertise in the area. Not just that you're interested in a job, you want this job in this company. And that's why you are trying to show your expertise. Those comments make a whole lot of difference. They really, truly do. So make sure that you're doing that. Thank you for sharing that.
I just put in the chat. We just got this Leah Harrison a link to their job market insights, and I put a link to it, and I'll send a PDF to it. We actually just got this about 3 hours ago, and it's just based on our findings. So again, I just barely had a chance to scroll through it, but I just put it out there. So if anyone's interested, I'll definitely send it.
Please. So can you give us just a couple of quick insights? I know you've only had a couple of minutes to take a look at it.
Well, again, what it lists some of the top technologies that are coming out, the top specific needs, the top specific, and it's based on I think what we've seen so far. Nothing really earth-shattering, but I think it's very helpful to understand that, and we do that for all different countries. So this is just the U.S. version. Like I said, I just literally got it 2 hours ago, um, and I'm going to glean through it. It'll probably be multiple posts for me, obviously, coming up. But I definitely wanted to put that out there if anyone wants that. And you just
Perfect.
message me on LinkedIn or Linda if they reach out to you, the same thing, because
Yep. Absolutely perfect. Thank you. We appreciate that. I appreciate that. I'd
Sure.
love to see a copy myself.
Yep, definitely.
You're going to start seeing more of those posts, by the way, with these outlooks that are out there. Here's what we're seeing coming down the pike. One of the things you need to be careful of when you're seeing some of those posts, just as you're seeing it from other people, is you need to take a look at the source. Some of them are coming from sources like Ken's, okay, which is an outplacement firm. So they're seeing it from all over the country. They're seeing it from lots of different industries and lots of different perspectives. If you're seeing it just from one company, especially one that is trying to sell their services, it's an okay, but you have to take it with a grain of salt compared to other things as well. Yes, Bunny.
Hi, everyone. I just wanted to follow up on what Todd was saying about reaching out to different folks on LinkedIn. So what I do a lot, I try to look under the people within the organization to see what connections I have with those individuals and then ask for an introduction. That's worked well as far as just getting my name out there too. It might not necessarily turn into something immediately, but to what a lot of people were talking about, they still have my information. And some reach out to me and some don't. So it's, it all depends on if they're on LinkedIn, if they look at their messages, if they don't. So I think it just depends. But it's been helpful in some certain situations.
That's great. So here's another tip. When you're trying to do that, what I would also do is check to see how active they are on LinkedIn, those individuals, because you want to see whether or not there's a likelihood that they will actually respond to their message. So if there are 30 people there and 5 of them have a recent comment or post, those are the ones you want to reach out to. They're more likely to be able to respond and see what you're doing.
Yep. Thanks.
Absolutely. Good luck with that. But yes, it really does work. And by the way, at the bottom of, if you're interested in a company, the bottom of the company page on LinkedIn, not all companies are doing it yet, but many of them do. But on their About page, the bottom of that page, there may be something that says, I'm interested in future opportunities. If nothing else, what that does is it keeps you on the radar. It may not do a whole lot. We have no follow-up information as to how effective that is, but it's certainly not going to hurt. Wade.
Yeah, just to piggyback on what Bunny said, sometimes I'll take the tack to try to reach out to somebody via LinkedIn, and if I don't hear anything, there's some Chrome plugin or there's some LinkedIn plugins that you can find that give you the email format for or give you the email address for somebody, or you could just go on Perplexity or what have you and ask it what the email format is for this company. And typically they'll say it's first name dot last name, or they'll give you the most commonly used. So the second follow-up is not via LinkedIn. If I haven't heard from them, I just go via email the next step.
And how successful are you at getting responses from those emails?
It varies. Pretty low. It's not like 100%. But a lot of people, I have gotten a couple where they say, yeah, I'm never on LinkedIn. Thanks for reaching out via email. It's just like that old saying, you miss 100% of the shots you don't take.
And that's exactly right. You do. So you try everything that's out there. Think about job search as a long game. Okay. This is not you're going to do today and it's going to happen tomorrow. This is a long-term kind of a process. But we want to make sure that we're getting as much out there as we possibly can. Okay. But that's the other reason for checking if you're responding to people on LinkedIn or reaching out on LinkedIn. See how active. If you've got 20 names from the same company and 5 of them aren't active, they're not people you're necessarily going to reach out to or get a response from. Okay, now that's also another way of me telling you we're going to move into our December job search. What I'd like to do is share a couple of quick tips of things that you can do to help you move forward in the new year. These are things that you should be doing year round, but if you haven't started doing them or you need a reminder, this is a good time to do some of that. And part of that is reaching out to other people, checking to see whether or not they're active when you're doing it. So how many of you, by the way, have ever checked, because we don't always do it, checked your notifications, checked your ideas about other people who are out there, check your, let's see, your network. If you go into my network, you'll see all of those people who've been reaching out to you over time. Go back in and clear that out. Even if it's been months, take a look at their profile and see whether or not there's somebody you really want to connect with, why they're trying to connect with you. Adding those connections now is a good thing. And then a follow-up message once you've connected. Hey, thanks for the connection request. How can I support you? I'd love to learn more about what you do. Don't use that phrase. The phrase, I'd love to learn more about what you do, has become one that's now used by so many bots. So be careful with what you're saying, okay? Relate it specifically to something on the profile, okay, or some of their posts to see what's going on. But that, tell me how I can support you. Would you like to have a quick chat so that we can get to know one another better? I'd love to find out more about how you got to where you are. It's not about you at that point, it's about them. But building your connections now is a good time to do it. Okay. Well, other things that we can do during this month to move. By the way, December is a great time for job search. So what I'd like to do, Ken and Carrie, can I put you on the spot for a moment? I want you to give everybody one tip for job search in December, besides the fact that you should just do it.
I guess what I would do, besides the obvious following up with people, is really take a look back at your LinkedIn profile and your resume and see if it really matches what you want to do. Because I know, and I'm sure, Linda, you can relate to this. I looked at my resume recently when I was applying for the job at Lee Hecht Harrison, and it, even though it was a new job, it was horrible, the resume. I mean, I don't know. I got the job through networking, so I think you really need to look at it. The resumes, best practices have changed a lot, and they've even changed a lot in the last year, even more so. So just take some time, see if it really puts you in the best light. Same with the LinkedIn profile, because we're constantly doing that a lot. Even before the networking, attending events and this and that, really got to make sure that you're on target with what your resume and LinkedIn profile should be. That's one of the things I would definitely suggest.
Agreed.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Those are great. I'm sorry, go ahead, Linda.
No, I was gonna say, go ahead.
Okay, yeah. And so here's the other thing that I would say, because here's the thing, because people don't have necessarily as much going on in the office in December. So I would actually, those companies that you've applied to, and maybe you haven't yet heard back, I know Linda you guys talk a lot about going and reaching out to people. Listen, now is really good time to go and try to network with some of those people. Here's the thing, people tend to have a little more empathy during the holidays and might be more open to connect. So, and listen, I would also say, don't be afraid to reach out to the C-suite, reach out to the CEOs of organizations. Here's what happens. If I'm a CEO, I know exactly the type of positions that we're looking for and the type of people that we're looking for. And if you reach out to them and they see your profile and they're like, oh my gosh, this person looks great, guess what? They go directly to their hiring team and say, Lisa just reached out to me. She looked really good. Can you have a conversation with her? So, and that automatically puts you it doesn't matter if 150 people applied, that automatically puts you at the top of that list. So here's my recommendation. Continue that outreach now. You may have better luck having conversations with people, even if it's a peer, even if it's someone you might work with. Learn about What do they love about what they do there? If you have a good conversation, even with someone outside of even the team you might be part of, and they like you and you connect, that person's going to do the exact same thing. They're going to go to their hiring team and say, listen, I just talked to this person. They're great. You need to have a conversation. That could really be a big difference for you. So again, I feel like people might be a little more open. They may have a little more time to actually connect with you. So take advantage of that during this time in December.
Absolutely. In fact, if you're willing, no, I'm not an if you're willing. I want you all, okay, to commit. If you're the willing part is telling us next time. But I'd like you all to commit to reaching out to at least 3 people during the month of December that you haven't spoken to in a while. Whether they're old connections that you're doing, whether it's somebody that you're reaching out to in a new company. This is a great time to do it. And so it's a very easy way of making those reconnections. You never know where those contacts are going to go. Now, here's a hint. If this is somebody you are actually connected to now, you are a first level connection, and you're sending a message on LinkedIn, instead of just sending the regular standard, I'm going to write you a message, do a voice message. Very few people will do that, and you will stand out. You can only do that to a first level connection. It also then is obvious that it's not a bot writing it, because it has to be your voice. And so again, that's another way for you to stand out. You can only do it from the mobile app on your phone. But that 30 to 60-second message, and that's really all you have, is a great way of building that trust, making those connections or reconnections, and standing out as somebody that they're going to get back to. So if you're willing to tell us that you're going to make that connection, please put a Y in the chat. Okay? We want to be able to get back to you, and we will. We want to hear next month or next week whether or not you actually started that process. All right.
Lots of yeses. That's awesome,
Good.
you guys.
That's perfect. By the way, if you want to practice with those voice messages, send me a voice message, a DM voice message. I'll be happy to give you feedback on it. But it's another way of practicing in a very easy way, because there's no pressure. And that's the other thing with those DMs, especially the voice messages, because it's personal. There are no rules. It's you, and make sure that when you're doing that voice message, there's that smile. I can't see the smile. I can't hear the connection, okay, in a written message. I can in a voice message. You can write yourself a script and say it every time. I don't care. They won't know. But it doesn't sound like a bot, and it doesn't sound like just cut and paste. So try it and see what happens. Scott.
Yes, hey, I love that. I never thought of that as a tip. I have worked with the C-suite quite a bit over my tenure, but it's always been so highly structured and formal. So something like this is kind of beyond that working relationship. I know that it has to be a very warm call, a very thoughtful call. Are there any tips on how to write that script for a voice message to these folks? And I love it because, like you said, this time of year they're going to open to connect and things like that they won't do the other 11 months of the year because they're so, everything's so crazy. But yeah, any tips? Because I'll do that. I just want to make sure I do it warmly, respectfully. But yeah, I almost feel a little hesitant because of having worked with the C-suite for so long.
Okay. Ken, Carrie, do you have any
I mean,
suggestions?
I would mention something that you've read about them or something that's going on at their company and let them know that based on that, you'd love to learn more, or I see you're doing that. Because it shows that you've taken the time and you're interested in knowing what they're doing, and that can become the invitation. Do you have 10 or 15 minutes to chat or whatever it is? That's kind of a warm thing there too, or even just thank you very much for taking my call. Just leave it at that for now because sometimes people can smell a job seeker from a mile away. I think it
Right.
really depends. But that would be some of my thoughts.
Yeah, I would agree. Anytime you can, and here's the thing, anytime go and look at that CEO's profile and see, I mean, maybe they mentioned something that they like to do, or if you can find a commonality with people, and this is actually across the board, you guys, it's think about yourself, think about every conversation you've ever had with people. When you go and you meet somebody for the first time and you both are born in the same state, you instantly have a connection with that person and it makes you memorable to them. So if you can find something that you have in common or something that drives you or you get excited about, that they do, that makes it more human, it makes it more personal, and to what Ken said, it makes it, they know that you actually did a little bit of research and you're not just out there, right? And then I would also remember this too, as you guys are communicating, and this again is across the board. Anytime that you can, tie in something that you're interested in that applies to the position that you're looking for and how it might help them in the long run. Again, even if it's in your message, it's a one sentence in your message, use your chat GPTs, use your AI tools to help you create them too. Just put it in your own words and say, this is what I'd like to say. How do I say this in one sentence to a CEO? And it will help put it in the right context for you as well. And so use those tools to help you come up with some of those as well.
Right. But remember, your voice is what's important.
Yes, it's your voice,
Correct.
it's your tone.
Always put it in your voice. That is correct. Use it
Absolutely.
as a tool to help you with the framework and then always make it your own. Correct.
So what I would like to say is, I'm sorry, go ahead, Scott.
I was just going to ask, as a follow-up to that,
Mhm.
I had out of the blue about a year and a half ago, a company come and approach me, Todd, I want your resume. Todd, I want your resume. Todd, I want your resume.
Mhm.
So I get it off. We're going to set you up with a phone screen tomorrow. And then we kind of went quiet. I found a managing director that I used to work with 15 years ago, and I did reach out, all the niceties and everything. And basically, he gave me like 5 minutes and he said, Todd, how can I help you? I said, your company reached out to me. Do you know of a name that I can find within the company?
Mhm.
But then everything went sideways, like Ken just said. They smelled that I was a job seeker.
Right.
So he wanted me off the phone as quickly as possible. I did everything as you kind of mentioned. And I always thought to myself, was there something I could have done better? He gave me, he goes, Todd, I got 5 minutes to talk. That was that. Any guidance, any help, point me to some other people that we might know together. But then, yeah, I never heard again. So I don't know if I made mistakes or is there any way I could have handled that differently?
So that smelling that you're a job seeker is real. And you're right. For a lot of people, that will be an automatic turnoff.
Yeah.
Okay. The idea about networking at this point is to find out more about the company, about their role. Okay. It's not about how they can help you get the job.
Tell me what you're doing.
Tell me what you're doing.
Yeah.
Tell me why you're doing it. No, maybe why. Just give me some insight so that I mean, just forget about I'm looking for a job. It's like anything else.
That's right.
Because they can tell. I mean, I get these
Yeah.
calls. We all get these calls.
Yeah.
Okay. I get cold emails from people looking for jobs and I'm not hiring. So
Right.
yes. Okay. Or trying to hire me for a job. But the idea is you want to make this a personal connection, a connection to find out more about them, what they do, what their challenges are. Okay. I'd like to know more so that as it's really interesting to me. It's not that I'm looking for a job. This is the tool that you can use AI for as well. It's not just help me phrase the conversation. It's based on the research that you're doing about the company and what you're seeing them do.
Feel
What
like
do you think the biggest challenges might be for the coming year?
I'll give you a local example. I'm a Mets fan. I would love to speak to Edwin Diaz and find out why the heck he took the offer in Los Angeles. But from context, it's not like
Yeah.
just it's a commonality thing, But it just if that makes any sense.
Right. And you can do that on the basis of the fact that you're both in the area,
Yeah.
right?
If you could
No.
talk to a movie star, what would you ask the movie star if you had a couple of minutes, or whoever it was, the entertainer? Just look at it like that way.
Right. We used to talk about the fact, what famous person would you invite to your dinner table? Who
Right.
would you like to talk with?
Yeah.
Okay, so how would you start that conversation? What would you like to ask them? Again, it's not about the job unless you have a specific job you're applying for, and you're not going to the CEO for that and saying, hey, I'm doing it. But if you're trying to make these cold outreaches,
Make it about them.
make it about them.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Even if it's not a cold outreach, even if it's somebody that you haven't spoken to in a year, it is always about them to start with. This is a relationship. This is not an ask. For you, it's an ask about them. And then you turn it into what's in it for them.
People love to talk about themselves. They really,
They
really,
do,
really do.
and the things that they love. And that's where a good conversation can come in. You're not asking for the job, you're just having a conversation with them. Again, if they connect with you on a level. And to what Ken said, people love to talk about themselves. They love to talk about what they're doing. They love to talk about their goals. That's where you start the conversation, especially at that C-suite level. And then it will, go from there, right? So good tip.
Right. And not just at the C-suite level, at any level, Todd.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay,
So always about them.
perfect. Thank you.
College,
Thank you.
okay. College football season. It's a great time to do that as well because, right, all the rankings just came out. They're doing the bowl games. They're talking about that. If you went to that same school, you now got a conversation starter. By the way, don't neglect your network, the people that went to the same school you went to. There are other people that are great to connect with because you've got that initial idea. Okay, perfect. Yes, Bonnie. Of
Thank you very much.
course.
Great tips. Thank you. Actually, I now have two questions from that conversation real quick. So I 100% understand, like, getting to understand about them and, how do you start the conversation though? Like if, like I'm in such and such a field, would love to talk to you more about, how do you start that conversation? That was my first question based on what we just talked about. My other question is, I feel silly asking this, but you were saying send a voicemail instead of a DM to your first level connections. Where do you go to do that? Would you be able to show us?
That's the easy one. Okay.
Okay.
So do you have the LinkedIn app on your phone?
Yes.
Okay, because this can only be done from your phone.
Okay.
Okay. So you want to go to messaging.
Okay.
Sorry, I have to pull something else up.
It's okay.
Okay. And you want to, down at the bottom for me, where it says, it looks like a little pencil.
Yes.
Okay. Type in the name. And then next to where it says write a message, you'll see something that looks a little bit like a microphone.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Oh, okay.
Okay. That's why you can only do it
Interesting.
with your phone. So if you hold that down, you tap that, and then it's the big microphone shows up in a blue circle. You hold that down to record your message. Messages are 60 seconds or less.
Mm-hmm.
And it truly will cut you off. I've had some people who send me 3 voice messages in a row to finish their conversation. Don't do that. 1, okay, is good enough. But that's an easy way to do it. And it really will make you stand out from other people. So that was number 1. Second question first. First question was, how do you get those conversations? How do you listen about some of those? Okay. So how do you do that message, either verbal or written, to try and reach out to people? Ken, Carrie, do you have an idea or suggestion before I do mine?
Yeah, so I mean, kind of like what we said, right? I would start with something that you're interested in the organization and you want to learn more about it. And that's how you can start. Maybe they have a new project that they're working on and just say, I noticed that you guys are doing A, B, and C, and I was really curious, this is something that I'm interested in. Your industry is very interesting to me, and I'd really love to learn more about that. What can you share with me about, what you're doing and what are the challenges? That's kind of how you can start it.
Okay, great.
I agree. One,
Perfect.
one, one thing I think that I haven't spoken about in a while, really make sure your voicemail makes sense. Go back and listen
Mm-hmm.
to your voicemail, because if your voicemail doesn't resonate
A
with
really
what
good
you're looking
point.
to do, and it's like you get the automated one, that's going to send a very bad message, no
Right.
pun intended. So I mean, again, it's another little thing to do, because I just changed mine, of
Mhm.
course, because I had an old one there. So it's another thing I would
Right.
recommend to the group in general.
Absolutely.
Great.
So it's not just the messages you send, it's how people respond to you.
Absolutely.
Okay, so absolutely. So here's one other tip, is that if you are actually looking at some of those jobs, you're trying to make a change. One of the most effective messages that I've heard people use, especially if they're thinking about making a switch into a new area, or you see somebody has recently completed training, you use that. It's not about the company, because specifically when you're saying about the company, that screams job seeker.
Yep.
Okay. Industry is sometimes easier than company. Okay. Or I just read about this in the news. That sounds really interesting. Are you getting involved in this too? But if you're looking at some of the areas, especially if they had a training program, gee, that's really interesting. I'm really curious. I've been thinking about taking training like that. How do you plan to use it? And did you find this particular training program useful? What did you learn most? If you're looking at somebody in one of those companies that you'd like to work in, make sure that you've looked at their profile so that if they do have premium, they can tell.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. But also, I noticed that you made the switch from this to this. I'm really curious. How did you do that? How do you like what you're doing now?
Great.
What are your challenges? So it's all about them. It's another reason to use some of those notifications that come in when people have a job change, or when they've posted that they've had a new training program that they've taken. It gives you that easy in.
Great. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Okay. So other things that you can be doing in December. Ann mentioned changing your own voicemail message. Okay. Make sure that you also have a good way for people to contact you on LinkedIn. Whether you, and I know I have to actually get this post out there. It's half written and I haven't done it yet. But there are ways that people can contact you even if they're not a first level connection. LinkedIn keeps restricting how often people can reach out to you, or how people can reach out to you. One way we know is that connection request, and those messages, if you have them, are very short. What I want you to think about doing is going into your privacy settings and turn on open messaging. That you'll take a message from anyone. Will that open you up to spam? Yeah, probably. Okay, so there is a risk to doing it. But if you're not doing that, then it's not as many ways for people to contact you. The other thing is making sure that you are including your email address in your contact information on your profile. Now, on your profile, the only people who can read that contact information are your first level connections. But if you include your email address in your About section, anybody who's reading that click more has a way of finding you. It doesn't go through the LinkedIn messaging. It's a direct contact. You don't want your contact information to just be a loop back to your profile. That is incredibly frustrating for other people trying to get a hold of you, and that's not your goal. So make sure that it's there and available to other people. Okay. You don't need to include a phone number, but that email address, yes. Okay. It's another way. So what kinds of things can you do right now to update your profile? Let's give everybody just one quick thing that they can do. Okay. For me, making sure that your profile really still reflects what you're doing, adding your skills. Oh, and LinkedIn has given us a new idea in terms of skills that I haven't implemented yet. My plan for the next couple of days is that they are allowing you to include some skills that are not just from their drop-down boxes. Okay. I know, Ken, you've done that.
I've created my own, I've
Yeah.
I've created my own because it's just part of my brand.
Yeah.
Right. And
Yeah.
that's one of the things that you can do too now, because LinkedIn is giving people the ability to do some of that creative search, if you will.
Hmm.
So you've got 100
Yeah. And I would
skills.
also add, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, that's it.
I would also add, so like your headline, right? Because your headline is so important, you guys, because remember, every time you comment anywhere in LinkedIn, the first like 60 characters follows you everywhere you go. So it shouldn't just, so it should actually be if you're going to put a title in there, it should actually be the title that you're targeting, not your current title. And then put in there, you can actually put a sentence. I mean, that's actually kind of a new thing that's happening too, a sentence that describes how you help people, the value that you can bring to an organization. If you're commenting on my post and I see that you're the type of person I'm looking for, and I'm like, wow, I love what that person said just from your headline, that may interest them enough to want to reach out to you. This is real. I say this not because somebody told me this. This has happened to me so many times, and I know Linda and Ken, it's probably happened to you too. So I would say make sure that your headline is optimized and then it gives the true picture of what you can do and how you can serve others. That would be really helpful for you. And it's one of the first things that people see.
Absolutely.
I would even say that the headline, only the first 100 to 140 characters are going to be viewable on mobile. And at the same time, and I've said this again and
Right.
again at Leac Harrison, your background image has to render on mobile. If you're blocking the words and things behind your picture, then it doesn't matter because more and more people are using mobile. So sometimes you have to, sometimes again, these are things people don't think about. But
Yeah.
it's all about your brand.
Absolutely. So make sure you're looking at everything both on your phone as well as on your computer. And if you've got a tablet, do that as well. Look at it in as many different platforms as you can to make sure
Yep.
that it's really readable and doable. Here's another thing in terms of that headline. I'm seeing too many people recently, especially those who are recently laid off, who are using the words X company, X company, X company, right? X Amazon, X. Don't do that. Okay. I want to
Yep.
focus on where you're going, not where you've been. So if you want to talk about the skills, that's great. I'll see that you're X, that you used to work at Amazon or wherever down below, but that X something isn't going to do you a whole lot of good. And sometimes gives the wrong message. Okay.
Yeah, it should be about you and and like Linda said, where you want to go and the value that you bring in. If you reframe your mindset during your entire job search, your resume, your LinkedIn, your interviews, it's really about how you can serve people. And if you can prove to people the value that you bring in all these little places that we talk about and in your interviews, if you can show them that you are the solution that they're looking for, they are going to want to talk to you. So as much as it's always about you, it's actually not. It's more about them and how you can help them meet what they're looking for. So keep that in mind. It's kind of a mind, it's kind of thinking about it a little bit different, but it may help you frame when you're having conversations, when you're building your LinkedIn, when you're building your resume.
Absolutely. I see a hand raised. Hi, Doreen.
Hi, can you hear me?
We can.
Yep.
Thanks. I have somewhat of a random question. I've noticed that some folks that I know on LinkedIn, when I look at their profile, they've been recently laid off. So they put an end date to their role. And then they're doing like I'm doing, they're doing a lot of freelance work. Like some people are substitute teaching. I'm doing more volunteer work at church. I'm also doing sort of just different things to help maybe the elder community with things that they need help with. Is there any way to highlight that in LinkedIn? Should I put a section on my LinkedIn profile that says freelance and then explain some of the things that I've been doing during job search? Or is that just a bad idea? They're mostly volunteer.
Doesn't matter whether it's volunteer or whether it's paid. And you don't have to say whether or not it's volunteer or paid. The experience is still the experience.
I mean, I would say it depends with anything. There is no one right or wrong. I mean, you can do volunteer in multiple sections on LinkedIn, but my caveat is if the resume doesn't match your LinkedIn profile, that's a red flag.
The resume doesn't match your
In terms
profile,
of
so,
in terms of your experience,
Like your
okay,
titles, your
your
dates,
titles,
um,
your titles and
mhm,
dates.
Right.
I mean, if you've been out of work for
companies.
a year and a half, and your resume doesn't match your LinkedIn profile, that's going to set up a red flag. I'm not saying that you can't list both, but I think you have to be consistent because I see that again and again in Leah Harrison. They don't match. Jobs, the before and after dates don't match. The titles don't match. The companies don't match.
Right. So, and that is, speaking as a recruiter and hiring manager, that is a huge red flag. So they do have to match. Now, if you've been gone from a job for 3 months, you can keep that as current on your profile. Just make sure that you're adding it to the LinkedIn with the actual date or your resume with the actual date. And that's okay. 3 months is kind of a grace period.
okay, I've been out since July. So I did put the end date on my LinkedIn profile and my resume. I was advised by Right Management to just put years versus months on my resume in terms of my time there. Do you agree with that as well?
Ken, you're shaking your head.
Ken's going like
Ken's like
this.
both ways.
It depends. You know, if you've worked at a company for a long time, 15, 20 years, it's a while ago, it's probably not relevant. But if you worked more recently, 2 to 3 years at one place, or sometimes one way to hide is you worked 3 months and one was November to February or something. Again, it depends. You know,
Right.
there's no one right or wrong. I mean, look, everything we do at Leah Harrison is an individual. We have best practices, but we have the ability to reach out and be, somewhat confident as long as we're just going by the script per se. But I wouldn't. It's not a one right way or wrong way thing. That's why, Linda and you, Carrie, probably can speak differently than me. I'm just looking at this very impartially when I look at different people.
Harry?
Yeah, and to go back to your initial question, so if you're putting the freelance, so I think it's actually a positive thing. So if you're going to put that you're, freelancing, and the detail that you can put, try to think about how it could actually be relevant for a business. And to Linda's point, you don't even have to say it was volunteer, but it is good to know that you are doing something, and whether you're taking classes or you're volunteering. I mean, that's actually important to do, and just make sure to Ken's point that it's on both your resume and your LinkedIn if that's what you choose to do, because it does explain that it shows that you're active and you're taking the time to still help still help people and help yourself. So I think that's important. I would say it's perfectly fine just to put the years. Here's the thing: if there is somewhere in there that there's only a job that was only like 3 months, in a lot of cases, it's going to be a non-issue because it's just the years that you've listed. I do that a lot with my clients, but and it's been really helpful for them. But I think LinkedIn requires you to put the month and year, I think. So you do
It
have to
does.
put the month in
LinkedIn
LinkedIn.
does.
LinkedIn does.
So is
Okay.
it okay if your resume doesn't match in that regard? Like you just have years on the resume. The last position I worked at, was 3 years.
Mhm.
So
Okay.
on my LinkedIn profile, I put the months. On my resume, however, I just put the years. Is that
Okay,
a
so I'm
red
gonna-
flag?
No, so I'm going to
No.
put my recruiting hat back on again. Okay. When you're doing an application, which is a legal document, you have to put month and year. Your resume, you can absolutely just put year.
Okay.
Okay. The other thing is that while the system may look at month and year, may look at all of that, as a recruiter, as a hiring manager, I'm going to look at your resume. I'm not going to look at that application. It has to be there. That's why we always say, add your resume as a separate document so that it can be read and easily sent to somebody else.
Add your resume as a separate document.
In other
in
words,
an
don't just
application.
copy and paste. When you're doing an application often gives you the opportunity to copy, paste, or upload.
Okay.
upload. And the reason for that is if you're just doing a copy paste, yes, it might be faster. But if you're doing a copy paste, I can't send that resume to anyone else should I like it. If you're
I've
doing
never copied and pasted. I just don't approach.
No, somebody that I was talking to yesterday did again. Okay. So don't do that. So always attach, because it makes it easy for me. And what I'm going to read is the resume. I'm not going to read the application.
Okay.
So years on the resume is fine. But
Agreed.
month and year on the application is required.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Okay. One more tip if you're doing that freelance fill in, okay, or you're taking time off to care for someone, add a line saying, while looking for my next job as.
Mm-hmm.
Because otherwise, number one, if you're doing freelancing, it may look as though that's what you really want to do from now on. But it also gives you the opportunity to talk about the job titles that you're looking for and bring that to the top. That not only helps if it's in that very first sentence or two, because that's what I'm going to see unless I click see more, right? But it also gives the system that additional SEO tip. Here are the jobs that she's looking for. She's going to come up higher in my search.
Very good. Thank you. Thank
You're
you all
welcome.
very, very much.
That's what we're here for. Okay.
You got it.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
I see Todd has his hand up again, I see.
That's where I'm going.
Oh, cool.
Thank you,
Ken.
Thank you,
Thank you
Linda.
for the reminder, because I don't always see those.
From Doreen's,
Hey, we're in this together.
Yeah.
Helping each
absolutely.
other out.
From Doreen's commentary, I just wanted to ask a question. So I had a panel interview,
Mm-hmm.
and what was unique was the most senior person was going off my resume. The more junior person was going off my LinkedIn profile. The good thing is, I'm going to say, guys, roughly my LinkedIn profile and resume are 90% or more the same, but you can add more things into LinkedIn. So like she clicked on my summary, started going through there. And so mentally I had a real quick flash over there because now I was interviewing off two different things. Any tips or suggestions on something like that? Because I was thrown a little bit, but I knew my profile, my LinkedIn well enough to be able to talk to everything. And then for the other lady, I was going off my resume. So I was like having this kind of interview. Any thoughts or suggestions that could help us?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, so the messaging that you're providing and you're putting out there, so your resume and your LinkedIn should tell the same story. And as you know, with LinkedIn, the cool thing about LinkedIn, because yes, the resume has to be a little more professional, but your LinkedIn is where you can actually shine and show a little bit more of your personality. It shouldn't really, the story should be the same. And so when you do that, and again, LinkedIn, you have that opportunity to share a little bit more about you and, some really positive experiences or things that you impacted in your job. But that story should really kind of be the same. The overarching story should be the same.
Okay, that's how I approached it. So I think I did well with that.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Ken, did you have something to add?
No, not really. I think the main thing is to make sure that the core is the same. Like you're not going to add skills on LinkedIn that you don't have on your resume, because that's going to be a red flag just to get
Right.
past the SEO.
Actually, the other way around. So on your resume, you want to make sure that the skills you're highlighting are those that are relevant for the job.
Right, but I'm saying LinkedIn, if you haven't done something, don't add it on.
No, absolutely. Right.
Yeah, correct.
But on
Yes.
LinkedIn, you can be more generic in the sense of, yes, I've done this. It doesn't apply to this particular job, but here's something else that I want to be found for because I can do it. It's your expertise. We're finding more and more people actually are looking at your LinkedIn profile. And the fact that somebody is looking at that profile and asking you questions based on that is a good thing, is my opinion. Because one of the things that does is it allows you or allows them to see more than what you just sent them. One of the reasons that commenting, posting, sharing that information, making sure that that about section is really strong, that all those skills are really strong, that those are the things you want to be found for, that's really important because I can see so much more. And we are finding more and more that because people are looking at those profiles, they're also looking at how you're out there. how you're being involved with other people, those comments that you're making. And I've had 2 clients actually get job opportunities because people saw their comments as opposed to just the resume itself. The comments demonstrated their willingness not only to give back, but demonstrated that expertise in a way that sometimes you can't do in a static LinkedIn post or a static resume.
It's almost like in the old days when I was at work, anyone have any questions? And no one wanted to raise their hand. Well, because anyone asked the stupid question or whatever it was. When you engage, you're continuing a conversation, and you can come across a certain way and not worry about what other people in the room per se are thinking. And I think that's one of the ways, because I'm an introvert, as people know, and I'm not always comfortable with things. That's another way to look at it. You can add to a conversation, not worry about someone next to you saying, "Why'd you say that?"
Exactly.
If there's one thing I could add to help everybody, as you suggested at the very beginning, off of that particular interview I had, so the senior person's looking at the resume, junior's person's looking at my LinkedIn profile. They said to me, "Todd, how come you don't have your phone number, your email, and your titling in your background behind your head?" And I said, I just had kind of like a nice picture just to kind of put something there compared to the green block. But the expectation I learned as a takeaway is I've got to update that, maybe using Canva or something, name, email, cell phone, right there, because they wanted to have it right there. So that's on my to-do list this week. I wanted to share that with you.
So that is one way of doing it, and I've seen people do that as well. Be careful about adding your phone number.
Yeah, I
I
would
would
agree,
not
Linda.
add your phone number there.
Okay,
Okay.
Just your email.
just
if you
email.
want.
Okay.
So if you want to
Linda,
add your
one
email, that's fine.
one recommendation I heard was to get a Google Voice number that you can then put up there if you want to publish that in LinkedIn, and then you can route that to whatever phone number you want. So I
Okay.
started doing it, and that catches spam. It catches random text messages that come in, and you can just delete them off the Google Voice website. So it's pretty handy.
Yep. So you can absolutely do that, but be careful about the phone number. Okay.
hmm
But adding an email
Agreed.
address is not a bad thing. And make sure that if you're not adding it there, it is very visible in your about section. Okay.
And then the other thing you could do on your headline is, again, what is your expertise? Add a few pieces of wording around what you're really good at. If I'm a recruiter and I'm a hiring manager and I'm looking at your profile, again, that's the first thing they're going to see beside your headline, right? And so it might entice them to want to actually read further. So I also highly recommend that you put in, top skills that you use to help people be successful. So think of it that way. And this is what I want you to do. Think of that as a billboard. As you're driving down the freeway, you see a billboard and it says, come in and see this great flashy thing. And you're like, oh my gosh, I got to check it out, right? Think of it as the exact same way. That is a way for you to market who you are to potential people and organizations.
Now be careful though about putting too much information there.
Yeah,
Not
it
just
should be,
everything
yeah, it
streamlined.
should be streamlined. I agree. Don't overwhelm it, but,
Not just overwhelming
agreed.
it. Remember that you have to look at it on your phone. And on your phone,
Yes.
the more information you have, the less likely I am to be able to see or read anything.
Yeah, and that your picture's in that bottom left corner, right? To
Right.
Linda's point, and that to make sure when you look at it on your mobile device that you don't have words behind your picture, keep your wording to the right side of that banner
Right.
so that
And make sure
it doesn't block it.
And make sure the more information you read, the harder you add, the harder it is to read.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
So be careful about that. But anything that you can do to help make yourself visible, the blank screen that LinkedIn provides, please don't do that. Find something, even if it is just a picture, that's fine. Make the picture though relevant to what it is you want to do or relevant to something that I can talk about. I had one candidate who was a Lego fanatic. Okay. And also an engineer. And he wanted to get into the space field, the rocket building. And he did. So the picture that he put up behind him was that Lego of a rocket. Okay. It was something that people could talk about, and then he added the information. Canva is a great way to do it. It's easy to format. They have free LinkedIn, it's called the LinkedIn banner. They have free
Yep.
templates, or just use a blank one, but it gives you the right size that you can use. And you don't need the paid version of Canva to do it. You can also do it
Correct.
with Google Images, at least to get that background image. Do Google Image for LinkedIn banner, and they will give you some. They're harder perhaps to edit, but it's another way to do it. Okay, great ideas, great suggestions. Thanks for joining us, Carrie. So
Yeah, absolutely.
that to copy the chat, okay, I'm going to turn off